The encounter. The HSS Defiance cut through the void like a blade of obsidian against the starlit canvas. Captain Ilara Chen stood on the bridge, her weathered face illuminated by the soft blue glow of holographic displays. 20 years in the Terran Space Fleet had etched lines of experience around her eyes, but had done nothing to diminish the sharp intelligence in her gaze. The Defiance was her third command, a Leviathan-class battleship, the pride of humanity's defensive fleet, and currently very, very lost. "Navigation, report," Chen ordered, her voice calm despite the situation. The ship had experienced an unexpected surge during their last faster-than-light jump, throwing them wildly off course. Lieutenant Commander Kai Rodriguez tapped frantically at his console. "Still calculating our position, Captain. The stellar cartography doesn't match any charted human territory. We're at least 3 sectors beyond our intended coordinates." The massive view screen showed an unfamiliar starfield, dominated by a binary star system casting crimson and gold light across the darkness. Chen felt a cold knot forming in her stomach. They were in uncharted space, their communications array damaged during the FTL malfunction, and with only enough fuel for one more jump. A jump they couldn't risk without knowing where they were. Life signs, artificial structures, anything? Chen asked, turning to her sensor officer. Lieutenant Sarah Okafor looked up from her station, her dark eyes wide. "Captain, I'm detecting multiple objects on an intercept course. Definitely artificial, definitely large, and definitely moving with purpose." Chen straightened her uniform. "Battle stations. Shields up, but weapons on standby only. We're visitors here, not invaders." The klaxon sounded throughout the massive ship as 1,200 crew members rushed to their combat positions. The Defiance might be lost, but it was still one of the most formidable vessels ever built by human hands. Minus 850 meters of reinforced titanium carbon composite, armed with railguns, missile batteries, and energy weapons that could reduce a small moon to rubble. "Visual contact in 30 seconds, Okafor announced. They're massive, Captain." The view screen shifted as the computer enhanced the approaching objects. Chen felt her breath catch. 7 vessels, each at least twice the size of the Defiance, moved in perfect formation. Their hulls were a strange, iridescent material that seemed to shift between states of matter, flowing like liquid metal but structured like crystal. "Those aren't ships," whispered Commander Alexei Petrov, Chen's executive officer. "They're living beings." The alien vessels, if they could be called that, surrounded the Defiance in a perfect heptagon formation. Up close, Chen could see that their hulls pulsed with what looked like bioluminescent veins, creating patterns too complex to follow with the human eye. "Open all communication channels," Chen ordered. "Standard greeting package, all languages and mathematical sequences." Communications Officer Maya Wong worked her console. "Broadcasting now, Captain." No response yet. Minutes ticked by intense silence. The alien vessels maintained their distance, neither advancing nor retreating, just watching. "Captain," Rodriguez called suddenly, his voice tight. "I've triangulated our position. We're in what our stellar maps mark as the Veil Nebula, but that's impossible. The Veil is 60,000 light-years from Earth." Chen frowned. "Check again." "I have, 3 times. Either our navigation system is completely malfunctioning, or we've somehow jumped farther than any human vessel in history." A soft chime from Wong's station interrupted them. "Captain, we're receiving a transmission. Audio only, being translated now." A voice filled the bridge, if it could be called a voice. It resonated from everywhere at once, bypassing their communication systems entirely and seeming to vibrate directly in their minds. "Human vessel. UAAVENTRED forbidden space. Identified purpose." Chen stepped forward, keeping her voice steady. "This is Captain Ilara Chen of the human spaceship Defiance. Our presence here is accidental, a malfunction during faster-than-light travel. We mean no intrusion or harm." Silence followed, stretching into uncomfortable minutes before the voice returned. Deception, DETTD. Your energy core bears the signature of DETDEVOURERS. Prepare for EXAM body. Chen turned to her chief engineer. Mason, what are they talking about? Chief Engineer Victor Mason shook his head, confusion evident on his face. Our reactor is standard antimatter pulse technology, Captain. Nothing exotic. The alien ships began to emit a strange field that their sensors couldn't properly analyze. It spread toward the Defiance like a fog across water. They're scanning us, Okafor reported, her fingers dancing across her console. But this isn't like any scan I've ever seen. It's going through everything, including our shielding. Chen felt it, a tingling sensation that swept through her body, as if every atom was being individually counted and categorized. Several crew members gasped or shuddered. Anomen aloi sto and aficionado. The DEVOURER signature is integrated with your Puro-Puelsion system. Explain. We don't understand what you mean by devourer signature, Chen responded firmly. Our technology was developed independently by humans. If there's a similarity to something you recognize, it's coincidental. Coincidence is AMPROBABL. The DEVOURERS were QUA or ANKT, NED in the SCCTR. For CAUSing the QOLAP city of Thiller TEN civilizations. Your presence with their technology, INDICATES EITA or QOLAboration or theft. Chen exchanged alarmed glances with Petrov. We have never encountered any species called the Devourers. Humanity has only achieved interstellar travel in the last century. Whatever conflict you're referring to, we weren't involved. The alien vessels began to pulse with increasing intensity, energy readings spiking on the Defiance's sensors. Captain, Okafor warned, they're powering weapons systems, or what our computer thinks are weapons systems. Chen made a split-second decision. Power up defensive systems only. Keep weapons on standby. Your vessel will be boarded, and EXANMINED. Resistance will RESULT in NEUTRALIZATION. The bridge crew looked to Chen, tension evident in every face. They were outnumbered, outgunned, and in completely unknown territory. Standard protocol would be to comply with the superior force, but something didn't add up. Sir, Chief Science Officer Dr. Layla Kazemi spoke up from her station. I've been analyzing that energy signature they keep referencing. There's something in our antimatter containment field that's causing a quantum resonance pattern I've never seen before. It might be what they're detecting. Can we modify it? Chen asked. Possibly, but it would mean temporarily shutting down our main reactor. We'd be on emergency power only. Chen weighed her options. Surrender to an unknown alien force that already believed them guilty of some cosmic crime, or take a risk that might prove their innocence, or at least buy them time. Do it, she ordered. Mason, help Dr. Kazemi with whatever she needs. Captain, Petrov cautioned, on emergency power, our shields will be at minimal strength. If they attack, they already think we're in league with these devourers. Chen interrupted. Complying with a boarding action puts us entirely at their mercy. I'd rather try to clear up this misunderstanding first. As Mason and Kazemi hurried from the bridge, Chen opened a shipwide channel. All hands, this is the captain. We are about to initiate an emergency reactor shutdown to modify our energy signature. Secure all stations and prepare for possible hostile action. This is not a drill. The alien vessels continued their approach, now close enough that they dominated the view screen. Massive ethereal shapes that seemed to exist partially in another dimension. Captain, Wang called out, I'm picking up energy buildups consistent with some kind of transportation technology. Chen nodded grimly. They're not waiting for our permission to board. The ship's lights dimmed as the main reactor powered down, emergency systems casting the bridge in a red glow. For several tense heartbeats, nothing happened. Then the alien voice returned, noticeably different in tone. Energy signature changing. Explain this modification. We're attempting to address your concerns about our propulsion system, Chen replied. As I said, we mean no harm and have no connection to these devourers. We're simply trying to demonstrate our goodwill. A new, more intense scan swept through the ship, causing several systems to flicker and restart. Preliminary analysis INDICATES ATTMPTD meant rather than removal. This TUNFIRMS has you the disposition of intent. Chen's heart sank. Their gambit had backfired, made them look more guilty rather than less. That wasn't our intent, she insisted. We're trying to understand what you're detecting so we can address your concerns. The alien vessels began to emit a strange, resonating field that their sensors couldn't properly categorize. The Defiance shuddered as if caught in a powerful current. They're attempting to establish some kind of energy tether, Okafor reported, her voice tight with tension. It's interfering with our systems. Chen made her decision. Bring the main reactor back online, full defensive posture. If they want to take this ship, they'll have to fight for it. As the order went out, Dr. Kazemi's voice came through Chen's personal communicator, urgent and excited. Captain, wait. I've identified the resonance pattern they're detecting. It's not in our antimatter containment system. It's in the quantum communication array. Chen frowned. The QCA was an experimental system, installed on only a handful of vessels, including the Defiance. It allowed instantaneous communication across vast distances by exploiting quantum entanglement principles. Explain, she demanded. The quantum particles we use for the array. They're artificially generated but match a very specific pattern that must be what these aliens recognize as the Devourer's signature. The resonance is subtle, but unmistakable once you know what to look for. A cold realization washed over Chen. Humanity had reverse-engineered the quantum communication technology from fragments of an ancient vessel discovered buried on Mars 50 years ago. The origin of that vessel had never been determined. Had humanity unknowingly salvaged and repurposed the technology of these devourers? And if so, what did that mean for the Defiance and its crew, now facing judgment from beings who clearly considered the devourers an existential threat? As the alien ships tightened their formation around the Defiance, Captain Chen prepared to make the most important diplomatic effort of her life, one that might determine not just the fate of her ship and crew, but potentially the future of human-alien relations forever. Against all odds, Captain Chen stood resolute on the bridge of the HSS Defiance, her mind racing through possibilities as the alien vessels, now identified as belonging to a species calling themselves the Voidborn, maintained their threatening formation around her ship. Open a direct channel, she ordered. Visual if they'll accept it. Wong worked her console. Channel open, Captain. Chen squared her shoulders. This is Captain Ilara Chen. I believe we've identified the technology that concerns you. We call it our quantum communication array. My people discovered this technology in an ancient vessel on our home system. We had no knowledge of its origin or any association with these devourers you mention. The response came after a tense pause, this time accompanied by a visual feed. The bridge crew collectively drew in a sharp breath at the sight of the Voidborn commander. The being appeared as a shifting mass of translucent crystal-like structures arranged in a vaguely humanoid form, pulses of bioluminescent energy flowing through its body like blood through veins. When it spoke, its face, a more densely arranged section of the crystalline structure, illuminated in patterns that somehow matched its speech. Your ADISSIO and CONFIRMS LUR suspicions, human. The devourer technology is forbidden for good or liaison. It do is not me really communicate. It consumes. Consumes what exactly? Chen asked, fighting to keep her voice steady in the face of the alien's unsettling appearance. Quantum potential. The technology you have salvaged deduesndk simply QNECT 2.s in spacetime. It FEDs on in the QOLAP city of what-if functions, draining energy from parallel realities. Over time, this consumption ends he barriers between dimensions, eventually causing catastrophes, colapse. Dr. Kazumi, who had returned to the bridge, paled visibly. That's not possible. Quantum communication doesn't have that kind of power requirement. You have used an incomplete version of DE technology, human scientist. Even so, each transmission surrogates microsteopicters in reality. These tears accumulate. The DVOURs knew this and used it as a weapon, deliberately coalescing entire SDR systems into dimensional RIFTs. Chen felt the weight of this revelation settle over her. If the Voidborn were telling the truth, humanity had been unknowingly playing with cosmic fire. We had no way of knowing this, she insisted. Our scientists believed the technology was safe. Ignorance to is noted in EGATE cons. EQENC, the Voidborn commander replied. The devour technology must be surrendered for CONTANNENT and destruction. Your vessel will be escorted to our nearest outpost, where ED8DEVIC will be removed. Chen exchanged glances with her officers. Surrendering their ship to an alien species was out of the question, but the alternative seemed to be destruction. And if we refuse? She asked, already knowing the answer. Then your vessel will be neutralized to prevent further contamination. You have one of your Earth AOURs to decide. The communication ended, leaving the bridge in stunned silence. Options, Chen demanded, looking at her senior staff. We could try to jump away, Rodriguez suggested. We have enough power for one more FTL jump. And end up where? Petrov countered. We don't even know where we are now. Could we remove the QCA ourselves? Chen asked Kazemi and Mason. Mason shook his head. The quantum communication array is integrated into our main systems. Removing it would require at least 3 days in space dock. What about disabling it? Chen pressed. We could physically sever the connections, Kazemi offered hesitantly. But it would permanently damage the system, and we'd lose our ability to communicate with Earth if we ever make it back to known space. Chen nodded grimly. Better than losing the ship entirely. Captain, Okafor interrupted. I've been analyzing the Voidborn vessels. Their energy signatures are unusual. They seem to exist partially in a higher dimensional state than we do. Meaning? Meaning they perceive reality differently than we do. What they're calling tiers in reality might be something our instruments can't even detect. Chen considered this. Could we verify their claims? Determine if our QCA really is causing damage. Dr. Kazemi frowned in concentration. Theoretically, yes. If we recalibrated our sensors to look for quantum distortions around our communication array, we might be able to detect these tiers they're talking about. Do it, Chen ordered. And Mason, prepare a plan to physically disable the QCA if necessary. As her officers hurried to comply, Chen turned to Petrov. If it comes to a fight, what are our chances? The XO's expression was grim. Against one of them. Slim. Against 7. None. Chen nodded, having expected as much. Then we need another option. While Kazemi and her team worked to recalibrate the sensors, Chen studied everything they had learned about the Voidborn. Their technology, if it could even be called that, seemed more biological than mechanical, integrating matter and energy in ways human science couldn't explain. "Captain," Kazemi called out, her voice tight with tension. "You need to see this." The main view screen shifted to show a visualization of space around the Defiance. Surrounding the ship were countless tiny fractures in the fabric of reality, invisible to normal sensors, but glowing ominously in the enhanced scan. "Those tears," Kazemi explained, "they're everywhere our QCA has operated, and they're growing." "Confirm the Voidborn's claim," Chen said grimly. "Not entirely," Kazemi countered. "These distortions are real, but they're not just coming from our ship." She adjusted the display to show similar tears surrounding the Voidborn vessels, though with a different pattern. "They're producing quantum distortions too, just of a different type." Chen leaned forward, a plan beginning to form. "They exist partially in a higher dimension, you said." "Yes, Captain. Our readings suggest they're somehow anchored in multiple realities simultaneously. And these tears, they're weakening the barriers between dimensions." Kazemi nodded slowly, beginning to follow Chen's thinking. "Theoretically, yes. Could we use that? Create a controlled tear that would affect them but not us?" The science officer's eyes widened. "It would be extremely risky. We'd essentially be weaponizing the very thing they're afraid of." "Not weaponizing," Chen corrected. "Demonstrating. I want to show them we understand the danger, and that mutual destruction isn't in anyone's interest." For the next 40 minutes, the crew of the Defiance worked frantically to modify their quantum communication array. Instead of shutting it down, they reconfigured it to create a localized quantum distortion, one that would specifically resonate with the Voidborn's dimensional frequency. "It's ready, Captain," Mason reported as the deadline approached. "But I have to warn you, this is completely untested. We have no idea what will happen." "Noted," Chen replied, opening a channel to the Voidborn. "This is Captain Chen. Before we give you our decision, I'd like to share something we've discovered." The crystalline commander reappeared on screen. "Your time expires soon, human." "We've confirmed your claims about our quantum technology," Chen acknowledged. "The tears in reality are real, but we've also detected similar distortions around your vessels." The Voidborn commander's crystalline structure pulsed rapidly. Surprise, perhaps. "Your sensors are more advanced than expected." "Yes, our exercised density Siri is natural QUANTUM situations. The difference is Th8 ours are controlled and contained. Just as we can control and contain ours," Chen countered. "We've modified our TCA to demonstrate this. With your permission, we'd like to show you." A pause. "Proceed with caution, human." Chen nodded to Kazemi, who activated the modified array. On the view screen, a visible distortion appeared between the Defiance and the nearest Voidborn vessel, a shimmering, transparent barrier that rippled like water. "What we've created," Chen explained, "is a controlled quantum boundary that resonates specifically with your dimensional frequency. It doesn't harm you, but it demonstrates that we can manipulate these forces with precision." The Voidborn commander was silent for several moments, the energy patterns within its crystalline form flowing in complex patterns. "Impressive adaptation, Captain Chen. Few species MST or QUANTUM manipulation so quickly." "We don't claim mastery," Chen replied honestly, "but we learn quickly, and we're willing to learn more, including how to use this technology safely." "Your demonstration proves intelligence, but also firms danger. The boundary you've created is already stabilizing." Chen looked to Kazemi, who nodded confirmation. The quantum barrier was indeed beginning to fluctuate wildly. Then help us understand it better, Chen proposed. Instead of destroying our technology, teach us to use it responsibly. In exchange, we offer our own knowledge and a potential alliance. Alliance with a species, it has left its home system. With a species that repurposed ancient technology they didn't understand and then, when confronted with its dangers, immediately adapted it in ways you didn't expect, Chen countered. Imagine what we could accomplish together instead of in opposition. The Voidborn commander's crystalline structure shifted, reforming into a slightly different configuration. Your PRBOSAL is unprecedented. The Council of TRTEN AA's maintained anti-INE for TWENTY thousands UICLEs. But your demonstration suggests HPOSSI dialite is what we hated noticio inside. Chen pressed her advantage. The Devourers used this technology as a weapon. We used it for communication. That difference matters. We're not them, and we don't have to repeat their mistakes. The quantum barrier between the ships suddenly collapsed, energy dissipating harmlessly into space. In its place, a small crystal formation appeared, floating between the vessels. This is a QUANTUM stabilizer, Captain CHEN. It will temporarily contain dimensional damage caused by your technology. Install it within your communication area. Chen hesitated, and then you will acito to the Council outpost. Note as prisoners, vuti as diplomatic representatives of your species. The Council mused evaluates unprecedented situation. Relief washed over Chen, though she maintained her composure. We accept your offer, Commander, and will deactivate our quantum array except when necessary until proper safeguards can be implemented. Wise precaution, human. Perhaps your species has more in common with TA builders than THGVOUR after all. The builders, Chen inquired. Those who see before, who created rather than consumed. In time, you may learn more of them. For now, prepare your vessel for transit. We will create a dimensional passage to the outpost. As the communication ended, the tension on the bridge dissolved into cautious celebration. They had faced an overwhelmingly superior force and emerged not just alive, but with a potential new alliance. Well done, Captain, Petrov said quietly beside her. Chen shook her head. We got lucky. If they hadn't been willing to listen. But they were, he countered, because you gave them reason to. You turned a confrontation into a conversation. As the massive Voidborn ships began generating a swirling portal in space, a method of travel completely unknown to human science, Chen reflected on the events that had brought them here. A navigation error had led to first contact with a powerful alien species, the discovery that humanity had been unknowingly using dangerous technology, and now the opening of diplomatic relations that could change the course of human history. Captain, Rodriguez called from his station. I'm receiving coordinates through the stabilizer crystal. It appears to be mapping the dimensional passage they're creating. Chen nodded. Record everything. When we make it back to Earth, Starfleet Command is going to want a very detailed report. The Voidborn flagship transmitted again. Follow our formation precisely. Human vessel. The passage is KALIBRATE to your QUANTUM signature. Acknowledged, Chen replied. S Defiance is ready to proceed. As the Defiance followed the void-born fleet into the swirling dimensional portal, Captain Chen felt a profound sense of both responsibility and possibility. They were about to become the first humans to meet this Council of 13, the first to learn about these builders and devourers, the first to truly understand the cosmic forces their quantum technology had been tampering with. Whatever waited on the other side of that portal would forever change humanity's understanding of its place in the universe. And Chen couldn't help but think that despite all the danger they had faced, this outcome, this chance to learn and grow, was infinitely preferable to the alternative of destruction or retreat. The HSS Defiance, lost but ultimately found, passed through the dimensional threshold into a new chapter of human history, one where the stars themselves were no longer the limit of what was possible.